1 year removed from the spectacle that would become the undisputed premier wrestling event, the second installment of WrestleMania aired live from 3 major U.S. metropolitan hubs. The night opened from the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island, New York, continued through the Midwestern Chicago suburb of Rosemont, Illinois, and concluded on the West Coast from the LA Sports Arena. Bobby the Brain Heenan's continued quest to destroy Hulk Hogan through various members of his stable spilled over into 1986. This time, in the form of the enormous King Kong Bundy inside a steel cage, Hogan is set to defend his World Wrestling Federation Championship after months of unexpected attacks from Bundy and other Heenan allies. Hogan refuses to heed his doctor's advice and proceeds with the match, risking further damage to his injured ribs, suffered at the hands of Bundy and his crew. Meanwhile, the bad blood between Hogan's good friend and partner, Mr. T, and Roddy Piper has also reached a boiling point, stemming from their first encounter at the previous WrestleMania. Already having faced each other in a wrestling match, the two would now meet in a boxing contest. The sensational British Bulldogs have been unsuccessful in their attempts to attain the Tag Team Championships. The Dream Team of Greg the Hammer Valentine and Brutus the Barber Beefcake grant them one final opportunity, while superstars of the WWF and NFL meet in an over-the-top rope battle royal. The Intercontinental Champion, Macho Man Randy Savage, finds himself at odds with George the Animal Steele, as Steele not only has eyes for his manager Miss Elizabeth, but his title as well, while the fabulous Moolah defends her coveted WWF Women's title against Velvet McIntyre, and more, at WrestleMania 2. The event opened from the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island, New York, with a singles contest between the magnificent Don Morocco, with Mr. Fuji, and Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff. After trading body slams, Orndorff begins taunting Mr. Fuji, which allows Morocco to take advantage in the corner, but Orndorff reverses an Irish whip and executes a backdrop. Morocco escapes an armbar with a Samoan drop and rams Orndorff into the corner, but he eventually fights his way out and the two find themselves outside the ring, where they brawl until both are counted out. In his WrestleMania debut, Macho Man Randy Savage defends the Intercontinental Championship against George the Animal Steele. Savage, wary of the unorthodox and unpredictable nature of Steele, resorts to stalling and fleeing, attempting to outwit his opponent. Savage lands his vaunted double axe handle on the outside and signature elbow from the top rope, but Steele unexpectedly kicks out. However, Savage secures the win utilizing the ropes as leverage on a pin, undetected by the referee to retain his title. Also making his first appearance on the grandest stage, Jake the Snake Roberts takes on George Wells in match number 3. Wells started the match aggressively, battering Jake inside and outside of the ring, but the Snake quickly recovered, delivering a knee strike, and finishes with a DDT. He celebrates by allowing Damien, his beloved Snake, to crawl his helpless opponent. The featured bout of the New York portion of the show is next, pitting Mr. T and Roddy Piper in a boxing match. Former heavyweight boxing champion, Smokin' Joe Frazier would be in the corner of Mr. T, while famed boxing trainer, Lou Duva trained and served as Piper's chief second. The match swayed back and forth with Piper displaying surprising boxing skills. Mr. T turned the tide in the third round and Piper, sensing loss of control, shoves the referee and delivered a body slam, ending the match in disqualification. The action shifts to the Rosemont Horizon for the Chicago portion of the event. It opens with a match for the WWF Women's Championship between champion, the fabulous Moolah versus Velvet McIntyre. Moolah controlled the match, executing a series of snapmares followed by a clothesline. McIntyre responded with a body slam, a back elbow, and a few drop kicks, but misses a splash from the middle ropes. And Moolah pins her to retain the title. Shidown spectacle continued with a flag match between Corporal Kirchner and Nikolai Volkov. Each man had a flag in their corner, with Volkov representing the Soviet Union and Kirchner representing the United States. Volkov dominated him during their fight outside the ring. Once back in the ring, the corporal mounted a comeback but punched the referee, unintentionally knocking him down. Freddie Blassie threw his cane into the ring, but Kirchner intercepted it and struck Volkov with it. The referee counted the pin after a quick recovery. Followed by the WWF vs. NFL Battle Royal featuring professional wrestling's finest versus the best in pro football. Ernie Ladd, both former pro football star and wrestler, joined the announce team for commentary. The highlight of the contest was the appearance of the hometown superstar of the Super Bowl champion Chicago Bears, William the Refrigerator Perry, who was ultimately eliminated by Big John Studd. At the end of the contest, it would be Andre the Giant standing alone, the winner, after simultaneously eliminating both members of the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart. Wrapping matters up in Chicago, the Dream Team, Greg the Hammer Valentine and Brutus the Barber Beefcake with Johnny Valiant, defends the WWF Tag Team Championship against the British Bulldogs. Greg Valentine and Davey Boy Smith struggle for a suplex in the center of the ring at the beginning of the match, but Smith prevails. When Dynamite Kid enters, he immediately starts working on Valentine's in the corner, performing a stunning snap suplex. In fact, Dynamite performed several throughout this match, and clearly had a significant impact on the remainder of the contest. Both sides engage back and forth, with Valentine executing a pile driver on Dynamite. Later, Smith gets the hot tag and gives Valentine another swift 2-fall with a power slam. After Beefcake tags in, they continue to work on Smith's arm until he counters. As the bout draws to a close, Dynamite reaches the middle rope with his head protruding, at which point Smith Irish whips Greg Valentine into it, and pinned him to win the match in the tag team titles, as Dynamite tumbles to the ground. On to the West Coast, from the Los Angeles Sports Arena, Ricky Steamboat takes on Hercules Hernandez. Hercules attacks Steamboat from behind at the beginning of the contest. He follows up with an armbar, a couple chops, and arm drags. Hercules responds but misses a crossbody press, leaving an opening for Steamboat to perform one of his own to secure the win. The second Los Angeles match features adorable Adrian Adonis, with Jimmy Hart, versus Uncle Elmer. With just one forearm, Uncle Elmer launches an initial attack and knocks Adrian to the ground, sending Adonis out of the ring. Elmer missed a leg drop, but made a huge splash in the corner as Adonis removed his clothes. Nonetheless, Adonis won the bout by pinfall with a splash from the top rope. Next, Junkyard Dog and Tito Santana take on Terry and Hoss Funk in a tag team encounter. Junkyard Dog and Hoss Funk enter the ring at the beginning of the contest and the Dog immediately begin to bash Terry and Hoss. Junkyard Dog tags Tito after both Funks leave the ring to regroup. Terry and Tito lock up in the ring. After that, Tito dropkicks Hoss and clotheslines Terry out of the ring. They both regroup and return to the ring, and take over later in the match. Terry must have been harmed when the Junkyard Dog slammed him onto a non-breakable table later in the match as he sustained numerous bumps, particularly on the unpadded floor, but when Jimmy Hart offers Terry Funk a megaphone and strikes the Dog in the head, he pins him to win the match. Finally, the main event of WrestleMania 2 live from LA, WWF Champion Hulk Hogan defends the title against King Kong Bundy, with Bobby Heenan, inside a steel cage. Hogan, with extensively wrapped ribs going into this match due to the prior assault by King Kong Bundy, is targeted as soon as the fight begins, and Bundy takes off the tapes that were covering them, then Hogan is slammed and even rammed into the cage by Bundy. However, Hogan fires back and sends Bundy face first into the cage, busting him open. After attempting to slam Bundy, Hogan stumbles back, and Bundy delivers several splashes to Hogan's ribs. But Hogan suddenly leaps to his feet, slams Bundy, drops his signature leg drop, and climbs the cage to win via escape. At the conclusion of the match, Bobby Heenan is caught in the cage and Hulk Hogan pursues him. He beats him, tosses him into the cage, and then atomic drops him to the floor. After WrestleMania 2, the WWF abandoned the triple simulcast format due to presentation pacing and logistical concerns, setting the stage for a historical and record-breaking WrestleMania 3. The Macho Man Randy Savage challenged for the WWF title on several occasions, while continuing to reign as Intercontinental Champion for the remainder of the year, and into the spring of 1987, where he'd lose to Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in an all-time classic 1 year later, at the next WrestleMania. The Bulldogs retained the tag team championships in rematches with the Dream Team, holding the titles for the rest of the year as well, before losing to the Hart Foundation at the beginning of the following year. Roddy Piper began transitioning into a fan favorite before taking a significant amount of time away from in-ring competition. Adorable Adrian Adonis established a talk show called The Flower Shop, in place of Piper's pit in his absence, and upon his return, a feud ensued. Andre the Giant also took time away from the ring to film The Princess Bride, but returned bitter and jealous of the fame and success Hulk Hogan had attained, joining Bobby Heenan's stable and challenging Hogan for the WWF Championship. Hogan fought many challengers for the remainder of the year, resuming a feud with his once ally, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, which culminated in a steel cage match on Saturday night's main event. Now with the Giant in his path, his biggest challenge awaits, and will take place on the grandest stage ever produced in professional wrestling history.